Hello and welcome back to Jacob's Toys. Please do like, share, subscribe, all of those things. All support to the channel is very much appreciated. And in this 5-minute figure review, we are going to take a look at the Mighty Thor from the upcoming movie Thor Love and Thunder, played of course by the wonderful Natalie Portman. So before we get into anything else, what do we have in the box? Well, we obviously have the figure with this unmasked head. We also get a Korg Build-A-Figure piece. We get his left leg, I think that is. And we also get a very, let me just stand up. We also get a very cool looking masked head, like a helmet head, as we saw in the trailer. This is really cool there. We'll go into a bit more detail on that in a minute. And we get Mjolnir. Now it's interesting because this version of Mjolnir is different to ones we've had previously. The handle is a lot longer than the ones we've had with Chris Hemsworth's Thor. And you can see here it's got the cracks in it as well. Now we don't know why there's cracks in it. Well, we kind of do. Based on what we've seen previously, it was destroyed by Hela, and we're assuming that Jane Foster's Thor puts the hammer back together. Now the unmasked head is really nice. The cape is attached to the body, and even though it's not soft good cape, it is softer to touch, so it's a little bit more flexible than some previous capes that we've had. It's a pinless body with a double jointed elbow, which is a new feature on the female bodies. Let's just pop that head off and put the helmeted one on. Head swap over really nicely, and let's put, I'll move that Korg leg, and let's put Mjolnir in her hand as well. Now it's interesting, I don't know whether it's just a design thing that the handle of this Mjolnir is much bigger than previous versions, or whether it's significant to the film, but it's the first thing that I noticed. It's a much bigger version of Mjolnir than we've seen previously. I don't know if that's to make it look bigger in her hand, but it almost looks comically big, if that makes sense. So even though it's got little cracks in it, I think I might swap it for an older version from my collection, just because the handle looks too long and the actual part of the hammer looks a bit big. But that's really the only kind of fault that I have on this figure. The rest of the figure is really nice. The sculpting on it is all really nice. It's all new sculpting. Let me just get a couple of previous versions of Jane Foster's Thor that we've seen. Now we haven't actually had a Jane Foster figure, so the only one I've got in my collection is this select version, and I've taken the feet off to make her a little bit shorter. But I've also got the comic book Thor figure of Jane Foster. And you can see here that the detail in the costume for the MCU is very similar to that of the comic books. There's a lot of similarities, down to the emblem in her helmet, down to the skirt, the wings on her boots. There's a lot of similarities. So where people have been crying out for the MCU costumes to be a lot more comic book accurate, they're definitely going down that road now. This select just looks rubbish now next to her. And you can see I've taken the feet off, like I said, put some blue tack in there to help stand her up on the shelf. But she served a purpose. I was really hoping that this unmasked head would kind of go onto that body, but looking at the body, it's a lot bigger than the other figures, so I think it's going to look quite strange. The detail on this is really good. You can see it's Natalie Portman. You can see that it's Jane Foster. The photoreal technology that they're using is really good. Now I've got a little blemish there on the forehead, which is unfortunate, but that comes, you get blemishes from time to time, so I can sort that out. That's not a problem. But yeah, the photoreal technology is really stepping up, and it's looking really good. So as I said, let's just compare these two, and you can see here the size difference between the Mjolnirs. The one that comic book Thor has got is actually one off of my MCU Thor. And you can see there's a real significant difference here. Now, this isn't the first time that we've seen one of Thor's weapons kind of change shape. They did it with Stormbreaker. There was a couple of different versions that came out of Stormbreaker, different sizes, etc. I'm really hoping it's something to do with the film and not just a weird design that comes in with the action figure. Now, Jane Foster's version of Thor actually came into the comic books around 2014, 2015, I think it was, where Jane Foster took up the mantle. She became Thor, and that is what we're going to see here in Love and Thunder. Now, they've not explained how, whether it's going to be similar to the comic book story, so I'm not going to discuss that now, but they haven't discussed how or why she does pick up Mjolnir. Now, in the comic books, one thing I will say is that she takes Mjolnir because Thor's no longer worthy of carrying it, so it'd be interesting if they go down a similar road, but I don't think they will from what we've seen in the trailer. But all in all, the first figure from this wave that I've had a look at, and I am blown away. I think she is really something special. I'm really excited to see this character on screen, and I think the figure is brilliant. I think that the details on it are fantastic, and it's definitely worth picking up. As a collector, I think you need to have a Jane Foster Thor in your collection if you're an MCU collector anyway. That's about it. Thanks very much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, all of those things, and I'll catch you next time.